Yes, we are live. You're checking out an all-new The RCWR show. Lee Sanders here. You're tuning in for Tuesday night of July 3rd, 2018. What's going on, guys? Oh, 4th of July, right around the corner. To those of you that is going to be celebrating the 4th, make sure it is a fantastic one. And it is a safe one. Remember, if you are going to be driving and you love to drink, please do not drink and drive. Drink responsibly at that. So, to the point, if you think you want to be having more than one bottle of beer or that Henny or whatever your favorite drink of choice is during a major holiday, please, I implore you, do not get behind the wheel after you've made your rounds drinking. Call yourself a Uber or have a friend, relative. Have them call you a Uber, call a Lyft, taxi, whatever. Do not drive. Hell, if your friend or whoever's house you're having the fun at, if they got the space and they don't mind you crashing for a couple of hours so you can sleep off that alcohol, hey, they'd be an awesome sport, but do not get behind the wheel. This is that time of the year. I can't stress it enough, and I've seen a lot of crazy stuff over here in the DMV when it comes to the major holidays. There are always knuckleheads, always, and it's definitely hit a little bit close to home for me a couple of times over the past couple of years. So can't stress that enough. Please do not drink and drive. Drink responsibly. Do not drink and get behind that wheel. It is not worth it. You are risking your life and other people's lives on the road. And for those of you that maybe are going to be traveling like right now, usually you kind of want to get the jump start. If not, maybe, the day before or 2 days before the 4th of July. You're just now getting out there on the road. Have some patience. That's the other thing. You're going to eventually get to your destination, but you got to have some patience. Have some patience out there for others on the road. It goes a long, long way. Make sure you have yourself some nice, tall, cool, refreshing beverages there. Make sure you got your music going and everything. You'll eventually get there, man. You will eventually get there, but do not lose your cool when you're on the drive, because I tell you, nothing is more dangerous than an angry driver. And we've seen some serious cases of road rage over the past couple of years. Just do a video search and you'll see all the crazy stuff I'm talking about. So hope you guys are gearing up for that. I'm definitely gearing up for it. It's going to be nice. It's going to be relaxful. I can't wait. Looking to recharge the batteries. I got a fun little topic I'm going to get into later on in the show. It's a fun challenge that the missus put out. And we're going to actually try to see how many people we can get to help her for her worthy cause. I'll tell you about that in a little bit. But since 2011, we've been covering all things wrestling entertainment and beyond, entertaining you since 2011. And we're coming at you with episode 602. Oh, man. Crazy stuff since last we were with you guys. God, man. I mean, honestly, before I go any further into the show, I definitely want to take this time out and offer my thoughts, prayers, but most importantly, resolution. Because now more than anything, that's what we need. And if you notice, everybody's, thoughts and prayers. I gave up saying thoughts and prayers a long time ago. If you notice, whenever something bad has happened in our country or overseas, now on top of saying thoughts and prayers, I also say resolution, because I sincerely want for there to be resolution, because we have these situations, these disgusting, heinous acts of gun violence being committed to people of innocence, as far as I'm concerned, that it's just unwarranted that they are in the crosshairs of some of these shootings that are happening, let alone in this country alone. And just the amount of shootings that has occurred in North America since the beginning of this year, it is ridiculous. When you go and look up the statistics, it's just You're like, well, really? That many shootings has happened this calendar year. It's crazy. But my thoughts, prayers, and definitely resolution to those that were affected by the Gazette shootings. Definitely very close to home over here for me, because Maryland for me is literally right next door. I'm here in the DMV, and I got to tell you, it was just crazy last Thursday going into the weekend. I'm sure by now most of you guys had probably heard about this, but for maybe those of you that in particular do not live in the DMV area and you're not really sure what I'm talking about, and see, I got to give a lot of the news stations in the DMV a lot of credit, because some of them, the way that they reported it, they tried to not even give this guy his 15 minutes of fame by refusing to mention his name, right? So kudos to the news stations that did go that route, right? But we had this sick, deranged motherfucker that basically decided that he was going to take beef to a whole new level. So for these past several years, he has been dealing with the Gazette newspaper. And the Gazette newspaper, it's a free paper that basically comes free daily, right? And usually you could get that paper just by itself, or it'll maybe be enclosed, I want to say, on a Washington Post paper or something of that nature. And it's by a small team that puts that paper together on a daily basis. And this guy, going as far back as 2011, I want to say, this man has been having beef with the Gazette for the simple fact there was some crime that basically he did commit. He was guilty of it, and the Gazette had basically covered it. And long story short, he did not like the way the Gazette had covered him during this piece. Now, anybody that knows a thing or two about journalism, and I definitely know a thing or two about journalism, I had my fair share in setting up, contributing articles, writing articles, and all that, being an editor and all that for my junior high school newspaper. And then I continued that on in high school. I did a little tiny bit of it during high school. And then I dipped just a little tiny bit into it during my college years. And one of the things that any reporter will tell you is when covering the news, it's not, as you, the reporter, it's not about your personal feelings. It's not about your 2 cents. It is basically about reporting the facts. As I like to say on this show repeatedly, and if you've been listening long enough, I always say the 5 W's: who, what, when. Wait, I said the 5 W's, and I was actually on the right brain path. I thought I had a brain fart there, but no, the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why. Those are the 5 W's. I've been saying that for years now, but that's all you're supposed to cover, right? Let the person that's reading the article make their own conclusion. Let them make their own opinion, right? It's not your job as the reporter to, not unless maybe you are a sports analyst or something like that. But like if you are reporting crimes, world politics, things of that nature, you usually just, okay, here's the facts. Here's the pros, here's the cons. That's pretty much all you're supposed to do. So this sick bastard did not like the way that the Gazette had covered him, and he basically had been having beef with the Gazette ever since. And it got to the point that he was sending them threatening emails, threatening letters. He was bashing them on social media. I mean, this guy was dedicating, like, I don't know how many hours a day on social media ripping the Gazette. Like I said, it just took beef to a whole new level. You had the editor-in-chief of the Gazette, and you had other people that were really concerned about this, and they actually tried to go to Maryland law officials. They tried to see if maybe something could be done with the authorities, government, and it was basically, no, he's really not breaking any laws despite what he's doing. Yeah, there's nothing here. Honestly, we don't think this is nothing that you all should be concerned about. Y'all have nothing to worry about. It's harmless. He's not going to do anything. And the editor for the Gazette, the one that got killed, he had said like years ago that he feared that this man would eventually come up to the Gazette headquarters, gun blazing. You know, he said he wouldn't be surprised. And what his biggest fear was actually became reality. So this sick SOB, he comes, and just the way that he did it, he basically went around the building and basically barricaded like an emergency exit. Let's just call it that, because I think that's basically what it was an emergency exit. So he barricaded that, right? So if they tried to exit from the inside, they're trapped. They're not going to be able to exit that way. So this was a man on a mission. He came out there, had a gun, went through the front, and just started shooting. I actually had time to reload all that crap. And the punk bitch, he just coughs himself up like the wuss that he is. Once the police arrives, I guess he felt, okay, my job is done. I did what I needed to do. And he just, without any fighting, nothing. He just calmly surrenders himself to the authorities. And he's been denied bond and all of that. They are considering him a flight risk. No crap. And this guy is currently not cooperating with the local authorities. And I tell you, I hope this sick bastard gets any and everything that's coming to him. I really do. And I got to tell you, I was a little bit amazed when this news had first came out. Because when this news had first came out, we had a bunch of individuals that took to social media, and they basically were saying, see, look, President Trump, this is what you did. You caused this. This guy committing this heinous act on the news media outlet, this is a result of your doing. You're the reason why he did this. See what your words did? And there were so many people that were just piling onto the president, when in actuality, if you did your research, right, or you just kicked back, in this day and age, we all are so inclined, the majority of us, we're so inclined to allow ourselves to feel the first impulse when it comes to taking in some type of information, whether it's breaking news, what have you. We always allow ourselves the first reaction. We try to react off of the first impulse when it makes all the sense in the world to, oh, okay, wait, this is just now coming in. Let me take a step back. Let me just wait this out. Let me try to see if any more information can come in, get as more info as I can, and then kind of go from there. Well, in just a matter of hours, 24 hours did not even break. And information came about of, okay, look, this is what's really going on with this guy. This guy's been having beef with the paper for almost 10 years. 10 years. Okay? So how is that the president's fault? It's not. Yes. Has the president been saying some stuff? Yeah, but I can't think of the name of the woman that he spoke with, but there's a blonde-haired older woman that usually is a special correspondent on 60 Minutes. And there was an interview that she had with the president, and off cameras, he went on record with her and said, look, what I do picking on you guys and all the other press media outlets, I just do that for fun. I got a little bit of a certain image to maintain. I'm just basically ripping on you guys just for the hell of it. I really don't have anything personal against you guys. I'm just trying to look a certain way. You understand, don't you? That basically was it. And I'm amazed that that's not getting a lot more traction throughout social media, right? And I think that's mainly because a lot of people, they look at what the president is doing and they just get so heated. They just get themselves so worked up. First and foremost, anybody that has been familiar with President Trump, those of us from the wrestling world and have experienced him involved with the WWE for many years, and then just being involved in entertainment, period, whether it's the Miss USA pageants or his Apprentice series, what have you, we know first and foremost that President Trump is a showman, and he knows how to play the strings of the many. He just does. So for me to see how everybody was just piling on the president, that this guy that did this heinous act in Maryland, it was the president to do it. No, no. And I think whenever a time comes when this guy begins to open his mouth and finally talk about why he did what he did, I feel that when he does speak, he's not going to be pinpointing to the president. He's not going to be saying that what the president was saying about the press and social media was his motivation. I would actually be a bit shocked if he actually went that route, considering he had beef with this paper for almost 10 years, right? But I tell you this, if he does say in part that the president talking about the media being public enemy of the state, blah, 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 I would imagine that is going to put such a bad mark on this presidency, this first term, that, my God, if you're a Democrat, an independent, Tea Party, or whatever, you're going to be looking at that, licking your chops, going, my God, we can kind of go in on this, bank on this going into 2020. Right? That could be like one of the final nails in the coffin. And you got the new thing that's out right now, where apparently the president was catching heat with a lot of people in social media because he would not lower the flag at half stands for the victims that had died. And like, there was such an outcry throughout social media. There was like petitions flying around left and right that eventually the government, basically, they override what the president apparently he did not want to. I mean, that's news to me that the president said, no, I'm not going to lower the flag for these guys. What the hell? No, I'm not going to do that. That's news to me. I would like to believe that surely he did not deny that. I'm not trying to give him the scapegoat. I'm just, it doesn't make sense to me, especially when you're right here in the nation's capital. Maryland is in your backyard. I mean, come on. You got DC, Maryland, Virginia. Come on, that doesn't make any sense to me why the president would. I would need to learn a little bit more on that before I actually comment any further. But I know that this is going to be that time of season because we have midterm elections and all that. We had some big rounds that went about in the area last week. But I would imagine these next couple of years, there's going to be a lot of political drama as far as advertising goes and all that, of guys trying to run that are going to use this incident to their advantage and hoping to get votes, right? You know, it's going to happen, man. And it's just sick when it really should just be all about the victims. So I really hope that going forward, we can see some more positive things happening. You know, you would think, I've said this time and time and time again, and I'm just going to continue to say it. You would think that in 2018, with all of the shootings that has come about, you would think that security would be more enhanced. You would think that. And one of the things that I don't understand that the news media coverage out here really has not covered well, I personally feel, is, well, what was going on with any type of security surveillance, or was there a security company in charge? You know, this was just an open building that you could just walk on into and you could do what this guy was able to do. Where exactly was security? Where was security footage and all that? I'm just amazed at the lack of security for this, and just the schools that have experienced shootings, and just a lot of the stuff that we've seen this calendar year. Every single one of them, the main issue that they have in play is that there is a lack in security presence. Until you really start stepping it up with security, you're going to continue to have these problems. And I think at this point, what more is it going to take for people, employers in particular, to start smartening the hell up when it comes to these events? Because if you can see a shooting happen at a school, if you can see a shooting happen at a gay nightclub, of all places, at a gay nightclub, if you could see a shooting go down at a goddamn newspaper room, if you could see a shooting go down at a movie theater, if you can see a shooting happen on a bus or on a train, don't you think that's the wake up call that you need to step up on your security? I don't know, guys. I don't know. Is it that expensive to get a $8 an hour security officer patrolling? I don't know, guys. But switching gears a little bit, talk about something a little bit more lighter. LeBron James. LeBron James going to the Los Angeles Lakers. I called it on this show several weeks back. I passionately was covering the NBA finals. I was talking about the playoffs and everything. And I must say, I was quite taken back a little bit by some people commenting on some of my basketball coverage, because a lot of people really did not know how passionate I was about basketball. And like I said, I have been passionately following the sport since I was a little kid, like in the mid, maybe early 80s. I remember when Jordan had came on to the Bulls. I remember. And for me, what I said on this show a couple of weeks ago, I said, man, I'm just getting the vibe that LeBron is not going to stay in Cleveland. I just don't see it happening. And as far as where he could potentially go, I don't know. Lakers does sound kind of good. And once we had that intel that was released, how LeBron had a home or two out in LA, there was a school that was apparently one of his sons. I guess he tried out for that school, or I can't remember the report vividly, accurately at that. But you had that report about his son, LA, that school. Once you heard all of those things, it was just kind of almost a no-brainer. At least for me, it was almost a no-brainer. And I tell you, I want to look at this a couple of ways, because I couldn't wait to react to this news. All right. First off, let me just say, whether you like LeBron or you hate LeBron, I think unanimously we all can be in agreement that the way LeBron had handled this was of a true professional. So let's first give him props where credit is due. He did not take to social media and make some type of a big spectacle event out of this like he did with the decision. Everybody remembers the decision, right? And how he was being interviewed by Jim Gray. And what was it, like an hour-long special, right? They just dragged it out for an hour on where LeBron James was going to be playing, and how, remember how he broke the hearts of the Cavs the first go round? They were burning his jerseys and all that. And then you had the Cavaliers owner, Dan Gilbert, say the crap that he had said. You're going, man, this dude's pissed. Okay, whatever. Talk about burning a bridge, right? And a lot of us, and I remember being on this show back when LeBron had made the news that he was basically dropping Cleveland that first go round and he was taking his services to Miami. I remember being on this show and talking about how unprofessional it came off, how juvenile it came off. And so you fast forward, and here you have a wiser, a more mature LeBron James that says, no, you know what? I'm not going to make some spectacle event out of this. I know I got the little deal going on where during the season, I go to this app and I do like this little mini web series and all that. And then when the playoffs start, I'm pretty much lights out because I'm focused on the playoffs, right? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to call the news media. I'm not going to do a conference. He just simply, with help of his PR team, puts out a short but very classy statement. And for me, that was, wow. All right, LeBron, that's okay. That's very mature of you. Okay, great. I like that. But you know, if you're a Cavs fan, you got to feel a little bit heartbroken because LeBron said he was never going to leave, that he was going to ride it out in Cleveland. He was going to ride out into the sunset in Cleveland. But sadly, that did not come to be. And I think if you are a true Cavs fan and you've been following the inner workings of what's been happening within the league, I think you'll definitely come to realize and appreciate the fact that, you know, LeBron did what he did and it was justified, right? I mean, my God, take your pick. There's so many areas that you could look at, right? As far as what could have possibly been the final nails in the coffin that made LeBron say, okay, you know what? I'm definitely done with this. As long as I've been following basketball, as long as I have been following the Cleveland Cavaliers, one of the things that jumped out at me was the fact that what really is a telling tale, by the way. Dan Gilbert loses LeBron James in less than 5 years. That's just a telling tale for me, right? So you lose LeBron James the first go round, right? You're lucky enough to get him the second go round. A second lightning strikes twice for you, right? Now they say, hey, once you are lucky, twice, my God, and no way lightning's going to strike twice. But Dan Gilbert gets the services of LeBron James not once but twice. And you would think by the second go round, okay, you know what? I've got some making up to do. I've got to prove to LeBron that I'm in this. I'm in this with this man. I'm going to do any and everything I can for this man. And I tell you what, me and him, we are going to do our very best to build this organization, build this franchise, get it to where exactly we need it to be, right? And so you have LeBron James. He comes back the second go round. But this go round, LeBron says, okay, you know what? I'm going to come here, but I'm only going to commit to 1 year. Just home in on that. I'm only going to commit to 1 year. So wraps up that. I'm talking about the second go round. All right. Second go round, he comes back to the Cavs. So he comes in, does the 1 year. All right. Not bad. I'm gonna stay another year. That next year, what was that? 2016, basically, brings home a championship. I'm still not quite there with you guys just yet. Let me sign on for another year, right? He is still trying to do that whole fill out process with Dan Gilbert, right? But through these 1 year deals, he's trying to relax and trust in Dan Gilbert, right? But one of the first things that they do that I felt was detrimental, and eventually LeBron James saying, okay, you know what? I'm out of here, was when they got rid of, I believe it was David Griffin. I'm not talking about Blake Griffin. I'm talking about the Cavs. What was he, a general manager? David Griffin. That was one of the first moves when they basically had got rid of him. You're looking at that and you're going, that's not exactly smart, because this man was able to do some exceptionally good things while in Cleveland. And LeBron, if LeBron's endorsing, you know, think about that for a second. If LeBron's endorsing you, that means he loves the job you're doing. And he praised the hell out of the work for David Griffin. And I remember vividly when David basically was terminated from the Cavs organization, LeBron was one of the first players to go on social media and thank the man for his hard work, right? And you're going, wait, what the hell? And then you had that deal that had went down, the three-way deal that was supposed to happen, but Dan Gilbert did not sign off on it, right? And you guys that are basketball fans, I'll need you guys to refresh my memory on the teams in question. But I believe the three-way deal, it was between Cavs, the Nuggets, and the Pacers, I want to say. And as part of that deal, they were supposed to get Paul George. I believe they could have kept Kyrie Irving, but Dan Gilbert did not want to sign off on this deal because he wanted to keep, see if I remember it right, he basically wanted for LeBron James and he wanted for Paul George to sign longer term deals, right? He didn't want the 1 year, 2 year. No, he wanted a full commitment from these guys. He was looking for something like maybe 4 years and up. I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe was asking for 7 to 10, but basically he wanted more years out of these guys before signing off on this. Honestly, was a really great deal, but LeBron, Paul George, they wouldn't do it. So Dan's like, no, I'm not going to sign off on it. So that's your, okay, that's another kiss of death that you do. Then you lose Kyrie Irving. Okay. Now, Kyrie Irving, I get it, man. At first, before the King came back, looked as though Kyrie was the man. LeBron re-enters. Somehow Kyrie, he gets a little bit lost in the shuffle. That's a telling tale that Kyrie goes to a championship with LeBron, but then is kind of saying to himself, you know what, man, I don't need this drama. I don't need all this. No, I want to be king. I'm the king now. I'm the king of the ship. You know, he wanted to be his own man. I get it. It reminds me of, to use a comic book analogy, it's basically like freaking Dick Grayson, Robin saying to Batman, hey, man, do you ever consider a time when you're going to hang up the mantle and I take over? I become the new Batman. And Batman's like, no, no, sorry. I'm going to always be Batman. And Dick Grayson is like, I want to be my own man. I want to prove that I have what it takes to protect a city. I want to prove that I can do just what you do, if not better. And eventually he goes off and becomes Nightwing, right? So I look at it no different than that. So Kyrie, for whatever respected reason, he leaves. For Dan Gilbert not able to, and it's not like they didn't have the money to try to keep Kyrie. They could have done everything in the world to keep Kyrie, right? Money talks volumes for a lot of people. It really does. Loses Kyrie Irving. You have that go down. And for me, just all of these things, they just add up. They just add up. So for LeBron to eventually say, okay, you know what? I made my promise. I kept my commitment. I brought a championship home to Cleveland. He really had put Cleveland on the map, considering that for a good number of years, Cleveland was always looked at as a joke when it comes to the sports world. I mean, think about it. The last time Cleveland was really relevant was when they had Jim Brown, the great NFL Hall of Famer Jim Brown, playing for them and everything. That's really the last time that they were relevant, before LeBron James came on board. Okay. So LeBron had really did a lot for that organization, as far as I'm concerned. I honestly believe in my heart of hearts, he took it to its maximum peak. Not to mention where the Cavs had landed with this year's lottery draft. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I believe they were number 8 this draft season. So that wasn't going to be enough to have LeBron sticking around. It wasn't. So for LeBron to just say, okay, you know what, I'm out of here, right? Now he's going to the Lakers. And look at the deal that he signed with the Lakers. A very telling tale. Look at, and shout out to Maurice. It was, number 8. It was on the 8. As far as what the Cavs had drafted in the NBA lottery draft, it was number 8. All right. Now, look at the deal that LeBron signed with the Lakers. It was basically a 4-year deal. So the first 3 years, that's mandatory. But the 4th year is an option, right? But it's basically a 4-year deal that's worth, what is it, almost $150 million. So the fact that LeBron could commit to the Lakers organization, but then you go over, you look at his go round, second coming with Dan Gilbert, 1 year. We'll just touch and go. 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, right? That's a telling tale. And I think when it's all said and done, he has respect for that Lakers organization. And he also has respect for one Magic Johnson. Now, I was able to see a decent amount as a kid, right on up until Magic Johnson had announced the AIDS announcement, right? When he revealed he had HIV. And then when he came back, he tried to make that last comeback. I remember all of that vividly, right? Magic Johnson, who better to learn from and take your game to that next level, not just from a professional basketball standpoint, but when you're winding down and it's time for you to think about other business endeavors. Now, look, LeBron James has been doing a fantastic job with his name alone as far as a brand. He's been doing a phenomenal job. But my God, man, LeBron, he can go to that next level with a Magic Johnson. I can't tell you how many people here in the DMV love them some Magic Johnson because of all the great stuff that he does with the organizations. And then not to also mention the Magic Theater. We got a couple out here in the DMV. And I remember when they were first being built, man, people were so ecstatic because one, the amount of jobs that it was going to be bringing, the upkeep and development, everything was just going to be. And sure enough, you fast forward and those areas where there is a Magic Johnson Theater in the DMV, they're thriving, right? His name sells, okay? So LeBron's going to be able to take his game to that next level, especially as far as post-basketball career. You know, not to also mention he had to do this move for his family. Hey, family comes first before anything else, right? But I like that he made this move right now. Some people could say, if you can't beat him, join him. He could have been like, okay, let me go holler at the Golden State Warriors, or he could have done any of that, but he did not do that. He basically said, I am going to go to a team where most likely the expectations are low, right? I mean, think about it. Anybody that has been paying attention to the Lakers since the final year Kobe was playing and just a downward spiral that they've been on since. Lakers, no. Playoffs, no. It ain't happening, no. So I've watched enough Lakers games to honestly say to you guys that with LeBron joining, I'm not expecting them definitely to go into the NBA Finals. That ain't happening. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they were a handful of games shy from going to the NBA playoffs. I definitely think they're going to have 2 times a better record than what they had this previous season, right? But my God, man, if I'm homing in on just one individual in particular that it's going to be a great 1-2 punch, LeBron playing off of them, I can't wait to see what he's going to be able to do with Lonzo Ball. I can't wait to see that because Lonzo, from what I've seen of Lonzo is a very unselfish player. Lonzo is a great passer. He is a unselfish passer. He has those moments where he will be aggressive if he kind of realizes he's a little bit on fire from a shooting standpoint. It doesn't all go to his head. He'll keep making his shots until, okay, second, third, okay, I'm kind of getting a little bit cold. Let me go ahead and let me facilitate. Let me distribute the ball. He is really good at that. And if you need him to be a blocker, he's a very good blocker as well. So, I mean, he is definitely, whether it's on the offensive end or the defensive end, he's definitely a pretty good, well-rounded player. And I love the fact that this young man has not even finished reaching his full potential body-wise. I mean, he is still filling out that body of his. You know, he's still a kid, but a young man at that, a young kid man at that, but he is still filling out into what will be ultimately, you know, his solid, mature body. I mean, those shoulders, they definitely have been coming out a little bit more. He's picked up a little bit more bulk since he's been playing, but give him about 5 more years. I think he might be as big as Shaq before Shaq stopped caring about, you know, conditioning and all that other stuff. I think he may be when he fills out, I think he may be as filled out as Shaq in his prime, right? But that's going to be a great 1-2 punch, right? Of course, you got a lot of people that are wondering what's going to be happening with Lavar Ball. Is Lavar Ball and LeBron, are they going to be on the same? Honestly, I think so. I think they will be on the same page. I think at this point, look, Lavar is going to say what he's going to say when he's going to say it. I think LeBron is just going to let all that go in one ear and out the other, honestly. But at the same time, Lavar, I think, and I feel, has so much respect for LeBron and everything that LeBron has accomplished that I believe Lavar is going to actually take a little bit of a step back and just let things play out the way that it's going to play out, quite honestly. And I tell you what, one other thing that I'm really looking at right now, I don't know if it's going to be able to happen this year. I doubt it. But you know what I always say, look, if you're not able, if you're not able to get something, well, let me backtrack a little bit. My old saying is don't cough up something for free when you can get yourself something of significant value, right? Don't wait until you pretty much have to make it be free. But with regards to Kawhi Leonard, man, has his stock just plummeted big time because before LeBron was even secured, Lakers were very, very interested in Kawhi Leonard. Nice deal on the table, but couldn't iron it out. Spurs wasn't trying to sign off, but they met a few times, Lakers and Kawhi Leonard. And each time the deal kept getting lower and lower. And now look, they got LeBron. Kawhi wants to play for the Lakers so damn bad. And you gotta feel for him because here's this man, as far as he's concerned, he feels that with the Spurs organization, they misdiagnosed him, right? And as a result of misdiagnosing him, and then the final nail in the coffin was what Tony Parker had said, oh, he faking it. Ain't no real injury. I had a real injury, blah, blah, blah. Kawhi's like, okay, you know what? I'm done. I don't want to play for this organization anymore. Screw this team. I'm done. Right? So Kawhi let his intentions be known. I want to go play for the Lakers. Spurs, Lakers, they have been involved in some of the greatest feuds for years, right alongside Lakers and Boston. They have been involved in feuds for years. You think the Spurs want to help the Lakers? Hell no. So now it's looking as though possibly Kawhi may just say, okay, you know what? Spurs, screw you. Screw everybody else. I'm just not going to play the 2018-19 season. I'm just going to let it expire on out. And then I'll respectfully have my team of the picking. If I can't go with the Lakers, then anything else is going to be better than playing for the Spurs. That's the point that he's reached right now. So talk about a very damaged relationship, a very, very damaged relationship. Pop's already let it be known he's only going to be the head coach for 2 more seasons, and then he's pretty much going to be out of there. I'm sure that he wanted to do everything in his power and still wants to do everything in his power to see to it that the Spurs organization is going into the right hands when it gets passed on to the next coach and that coaching team. I'm sure he wants to help them build towards a better future once he steps down. And I tell you, to lose a guy like Kawhi Leonard, I think that's detrimental. It definitely is. But I can't wait to see how all of this is going to continue to play out over the course of the summer. But my God, man, they gave us a lot to talk about over the summer. They really, really did, man, a lot. And made my day hearing this news about LeBron and all that. I'm serious, man. But Cavs fans, I know it hurts right now. I feel for you guys, trust me. But when you just look at everything that I basically said in a nutshell, on so many levels, you can definitely understand LeBron saying, okay, you know what, with regards to the Cavs, I'm done. Not to mention, and I gotta be honest, maybe it's just that part of me that has always been a fan of the Lakers, because I grew up on the Bulls, you know, Chicago native here. So I grew up on the Bulls, and I remember Pat Riley. I remember Phil Jackson. So for me, already having the history with the Lakers, Magic Johnson, already liking them as a kid, liking Magic Johnson as a kid, when Phil Jackson went on over to the Lakers, I'm going, oh, let me go see what's going on with this. This should be interesting. And so I've always had a soft spot for the Lakers. I rolled them out, the Kobe, Shaq show, and then Kobe, Paul Gasol, Derek Fisher, Rick Fox. Man, just so many great names that was on that team back then, right? Luke Walton. My God, Luke Walton was even on that damn team, right? So just seeing how everything is playing out, looking at a guy like a LeBron James, a caliber talent like a LeBron James, it just feels right. It just feels like he should have always been in the purple and gold, right? My God, I can only imagine the celebrities that's going to be flocking back to these games, because remember, anybody that's been watching the NBA these past couple of seasons, mainly all the celebrities, they've been going on over to the Golden State Warriors. They've been showing up more at the Golden State Warrior games than they have at the Laker games. So now that you got LeBron in town, I'm sure that this season coming up, this 18 to 2019 season, it's going to be a lot of celebrities in the house trying to see what the king is going to be doing, man. So come on. I can't wait. What do we got? We got what? August, September, October. So we got about 4 months to go, basically. Maybe 3.5, 4 months to go until we get that new season. Can't wait, man. Can't wait. So that's a nice, pretty little ribbon around that. And I like some of the comments that we got coming in right now. I do want to give you guys a little bit of a heads up here, a little bit of props here. I like what David is saying via Facebook, as we're streaming on multiple platforms tonight. We're streaming on Facebook, we're streaming on Mixer, we're streaming on YouTube, and we're also streaming live via the RCWR show app, available for free in the Google Play Store. Welcome to all of you that's checking out the show live right now. David, he says, you know, I don't care about anything going on with other teams. I'm just hoping, because I haven't heard anything out of Kawhi or Pop's mouth, he will be a Spur for life. Yeah, David, I feel where you're coming from, man, but you know, it don't look good what's going on. That the Spurs and Kawhi have yet to squash whatever is going on right now. That just does not look good whatsoever, no matter how you cut that. No matter how you cut that. Kenneth brings up a very good point, which is game one in the NBA Finals, he was gone. Well, look, at least with the Lakers, and it comes to distributing the ball, at least he doesn't have to worry about a J.R. Smith blooper, right? I mean, seriously, at least he doesn't have to worry about that. I want to take this time out. Thank those of you that's checking out the show right now. That's a no-brainer, Mark, as far as if I think Shaq will go into the NBA Hall of Fame. Yeah. Did you watch the Kobe Shaq special that had aired recently? It aired during the NBA Finals, and Kobe, Shaq, they had sat down and they had debunked a lot of the misinterpreted rumors that was out there about their supposed beef from the years and all that. I mean, there was some tension and all that there. But I recommend, if you guys didn't check that out, check it out. It was like an hour-long special or whatever. And I mean, for everything that Shaquille O'Neal was able to accomplish in his NBA career, oh, no doubt, Shaq will definitely go into the NBA Hall of Fame. No doubt about that. Reading some more of the comments that's coming in here. I like what Mark is saying. I respect everything Magic Johnson has done for basketball and outside of basketball. Yeah, he really has done a lot for the organization. Tremendously. He's done a lot. I want to take this time out. Thank those of you that's checking out the show right now. You're enjoying the show so far. Make sure you throw up the thumbs up, share, retweet, repost all that good stuff. Really appreciate that. Means a lot, helps out tremendously. As far as when I think Shaquille O'Neal will go into the Hall of Fame, I don't like putting predictions out there. I usually don't, but let me put it to you this way. I would be shocked if 7 years were to pass and Shaquille O'Neal still has not gone into the NBA Hall of Fame. I'll put it to you that way. I'm saying 7 years or less, he should be going into the Hall of Fame. Like I said, if he goes in after 7 years, that would actually surprise me. It would surprise me a lot because I'm kind of one of those guys, just been looking at the way things have been fluctuating as of late with certain Hall of Fames. It seems like a lot of the people that are going in are basically, hey, remember these acts from the 90s or the 2000s? Well, yeah, we got them in the Hall of Fame. Now, it just seems when you look all across the board, whether it's in the Music Hall of Fame or whatever, or when you look at football, what have you, it just seems like a lot of the talents that we remember from the 90s or early to mid 2000s, it seems like now around this day and age, they're starting to go in, and there's definitely been a bit of a trend, I would say, within the past 5, maybe you could even make the argument within the past 10 years. So we'll wait and see. Let's switch gears. Let's talk a little bit about wrestling. Not really too much I want to sink my teeth into. I mean, come on, man. Look, you guys should know the drill by now. This ain't the Raw SmackDown recap show. It's just not. I mean, those days are long gone. But if I see some stuff that really jumps out at me, I'll definitely talk about it, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. I'll definitely talk about it. I did watch Raw. I did watch SmackDown. And by the way, shout out to those of you I had interacted with during Raw. Not so much SmackDown tonight, because SmackDown, I was taking it easy, just really trying to get ready for the show and everything. To the point, I was so sidetracked with other stuff. I really did not see that much of SmackDown. Sadly, I did not see the main event match that had Team Hell No. I think they were taking on the Usos, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to kind of need you guys' help as far as what was the outcome of that match. But to the polls we go. I asked you guys, what did you think about Monday's WWE Raw? Got about 35 votes that's in right now via YouTube. Remember, you can always cast your vote, interact, check out other postings that's going on the community sections tab on youtube.com/the RCWR show. 9% of you gave Raw a thumbs up. 11% of you skipped it this week. 17% of you gave it a thumbs down. And oh my God, this is a first. As long as we've been doing this, this is a first. 37% of you refused to watch Raw. This is based off of 35 votes. That's a telling tale right there. I would love to see a comment for the next time as far as why you refuse to watch Raw. I think I know what the answer is going to be, but still, that's a telling tale right there. And let's take to Twitter now, because we also had put that same poll up on Twitter asking you guys what the was. Shout out to Ari Spears, man. Great comedian. Love that guy. If you follow him on Twitter, make sure you peep in his posts, man. He always posts some funny stuff, especially when he's talking about fine, thick women. Twitter, we've got you guys. Wow, there's a tie, actually. 23% of you skipping it this week. 29% of you are staying in the middle. And at 24%, there's a tie. Some of you gave it a thumbs up. Some of you gave it a thumbs down. So that's a very interesting tale. And then let me see one other thing here. So I actually put that on my own respected Twitter page. I'm trying to see. Let me look here. Okay, so here's a bit of a better gauge if you want to do it that. So usually what I do, I'll post one poll on my own Twitter page, and then I'll post another poll, usually up under WWE's tweet just to try to gauge the fans. I just want to see what they thought of the product, because you'd be amazed if you just follow WWE and whatever they put stuff out there. If the fans aren't feeling something on WWE, like they're adding the hell out of them. So here's a bit of a more interesting result one. 17% skipping it this week, 25% staying in the middle, 27% giving it a thumbs up, 31% giving it a thumbs down. So, I mean, when you add it all up collectively, we got about over 100 people had cast their vote on Raw this week. So thank you for those of you that had cast your vote. It was a so episode. I mean, it was all right. Not really too much you can. Oh my God, that was. I tell you what, the Bailey Sasha Banks therapy session, that was the drizzling shits. I was disappointed on so many levels, because I'm actually saying to myself, surely this is going to end in such a way where these girls are going to get physical with each other. We're going to see somewhat of a similar beatdown that occurred last week. Whether it's Bailey dishing it out once again or Sasha gets the upper hand, maybe they're going to do a little bit of rumbling, right? Surely we're going to see it go down again. But it didn't happen. And the segments were just, I'm sorry, they were just lame. They really, really were. And bless Sasha Banks and Bailey. I love those two women tremendously. I do. Sasha has her moments where I go, the crying in the ring, and guys, she is the queen of botchamania. I mean, there is like not a video that goes by where botchamania always has Sasha Banks messing up somewhere, right? But no, I was greatly disappointed in the Bailey Sasha Banks segments that we had with Dr. Alex Shelley or whatever the hell, Dr. Shelley. I said Alex Shelley, and now I'm thinking about I think it's Shelby. I said Dr. Alex Shelley. Oh my God, it's Shelby, if I'm not mistaken. Oh my God, that shows where my mind is right now. I like what the hell has he been up to? Is he still in New Japan? By the way, I haven't seen him in a minute, man. I gotta see what's been going on with him. Maybe I can go check out freaking New Japan Pro Wrestling and see what he's been up to, man. Motor City Machine. I think correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I think last Alex Shelley, isn't he doing a little something in Ring of Honor right now? He's either doing something for Ring of Honor and or New Japan. One or the two, or he's doing both. One of them he's doing. But no, I really was disappointed in the segments. I don't really have too much more I can add to it. I mean, honestly, I cringed last week at the thought that they were going to be doing this with Dr. Shelby, but I didn't want to crap on it. I said, nah, let me just take a step back and let me just really see this. Let me just let it really process and take it all in for what it's worth. Let me try to be excited, right? Because these girls are going to be given probably 4 or 5 segments to tell their story, but it was really crappy. It was poorly produced. I don't think it was really written that well. And the fact that we knew that it was shot earlier in the day, I don't know, but when I hear stuff like that, I go, so wait a minute. This is what made the final cut. This is what we have to give to the audience. Very subpar. I'm sure you, me, and everybody else could have figured out if we were going to go in that respected direction. I'm sure we could have figured out a gazillion other ways to make those Shelby segments even more entertaining, right? And I like the fact that they basically, WWE writers looked at this as, you know what, it's kind of have a little bit of a Kane, Daniel Bryan vibe to it. Maybe we can kind of capitalize on that a little bit, but no, nothing like that at all. So I'm going to move on from that. You guys got to forgive me. I don't really have too much more I can add to that. It was the drizzles. It was very poor, just poorly written, very poorly produced. Now, the Braun Strowman Kevin Owens spot. Some of you guys pay very close attention to detail. Some of you all have mentioned on social media, hey man, the way they edited it wasn't believable because of these things right here. When you go back and watch, I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to give them a pass. I'm going to give them a pass. I actually enjoyed it. I don't care what everybody else had to say about it. I actually enjoyed the Kevin Owens Braun Strowman segment. I laughed my ass off at it. I love seeing him go hide in a porta pot. I love seeing Braun Strowman. He's looking everywhere outside, doesn't see Kevin Owens. But then, right when he's about to walk back into the arena, he stops and just starts smelling the air, kind of like, oh, I smell shit. And then he goes on over to the porta pot like, oh, I smell Kevin Owens, right? Because Kevin Owens smells like shit. I just love that. And hearing him do that wimpy little voice, I loved it. Kevin Owens and Braun Strowman, I must say, as the weeks have been progressing, they've been building some really interesting chemistry together, and it's been making some pretty memorable on-screen moments. The porta pod was definitely, it got a pass from me. I enjoyed it. One thing that I think, if they really wanted to make it be a lot more fun, if they really wanted it to be much more cooler or whatever, like what I don't quite understand is we see when Kevin Owens gets in the porta pod, right? Are you telling me that here's a genius idea? You're telling me that for those that didn't like the way it was edited and all that from the back, and then seeing what went down once Braun brought Kevin out and everything, you're telling me that from the moment we had saw Kevin Owens go into the porta pod, you're telling me there was no possible way that you could have there be some type of a super glued on mattress that Kevin Owens could have basically strapped himself into and be hanging on while Braun pulls that porta pot a certain way. And then when he takes him back into the arena, kicks the living crap out of it, and it falls a certain way. You're telling me Kevin Owens couldn't had remained secured, right? Like that. I know it's possible, because when I was in high school, I used to help out friends that would do all these crazy stunts, right? So anything's possible. I remember one time I actually went running down the hallway with my arm on fire, and I had people freaking the hell out trying to call the local fire department, and I was just laughing my ass off. I would I would just be screaming the whole time, and then they're like, oh my god. I mean, it was the greatest prank. I used to love getting everybody with that. And this is just basically, you put on some, alcohol or whatever, rubbing alcohol or whatever, and light a match, get a lighter, and you're just flame on, and you're just running down the hallway with a screaming hand or whatever. Now the key is you got to make sure that after a certain amount of time, you pretty much, because otherwise you're going to have some serious problems. So other than sacrificing a little bit of hair on my wrist, it was worthwhile just trolling the hell out of people. But I know stunts like what I just proposed that they could have done with Kevin Owens to try to make it seem a little bit more accurate in real time, basically, right? But regardless, it's been awesome what they've been doing. The Roman Reigns, Bobby Lashley, Bobby! I still feel a bit indifferent about this. I do. I've gone on record. I've said many times that, like it or not, Roman Reigns will be a multi-time champion for years to come. He is going to be the face of the company for years to come, like it or not. But that aside, looking at this current feud with Bobby Lashley, I respect and appreciate writers and creative trying to put Bobby Lashley in a position where, okay, you know what, the Sami Zayn feud, that really wasn't going exactly where we would have liked it to go. And so now he's sliding right in there with Roman Reigns. Hey, if anybody can give the guy a little bit of a rub off, let's go ahead and let's have Roman Reigns collide with Lashley. And honestly, bad mistake. Bad mistake. You know what would have made a little bit more sense to me? It would have made a little bit more sense to me, and I wish WWE would go back to doing this again. There used to be a time several months ago, even going in the last year and the year before that, where you would have a star like a Kevin Owens that would be feuding with multiple people. And honestly, what would have made generally much more sense in my mind, and maybe in fans' estimation, right? But I'll say in my mind, would be for Kevin Owens to slide in there and feud with Bobby Lashley next. Because after all, look at what Bobby Lashley did to his friend and Sami Zayn. It would have made all the sense to me in the world for Kevin Owens to want to extract some type of revenge. And I think that, yeah, we would have been cheering for Kevin Owens, but Kevin is so damn good at being a heel that the sympathy card, I think, would have been pulled quite nicely in order to kind of win you over on Bobby Lashley's side. I honestly feel that's the feud that should have happened next before eventually going to a Roman Reigns. Just my 2 cents from a distance. Because right now, looking at this Roman Reigns, Bobby Lashley feud for what it's worth, it just does not feel. I just feel indifferent. I'm not. I mean, I posed that question to you, RCWR Nation and Epic Sports Nation. Are you excited? I mean, genuinely. You know, I know we like to joke around a little bit and we like to make fun of certain guys that we see on the shows and everything, but just all jokes aside, legitimately, Roman Reigns, Bobby Lashley on paper, does it get you excited? Is this a match that you want to see? And I bet you if we polled all of you guys with that question, the majority of you all would say, no, I honestly could care less about this feud, honestly. And for me, that's just it. That's just honestly it. They are really just putting a skyrocket backpack onto Bobby Lashley, and they are really trying to have this guy just take off to the stratosphere, man. But it's just not working. It just is not working. And it's quite sad, you know, to the point there were some people that were on social media that were interacting with me because they saw some of the things I was saying about Lashley Monday night. And they basically said, you know what, Lee? Lashley would be better off as a feud. I'm sorry. Lashley would be better off in the feud if he were a heel or if he was just a heel, period. Because some feel as though they brought in Bobby Lashley the wrong way. And I'm still going to continue to stick to my guns. And I'm going to say, look, with the work that he was doing in Impact Wrestling, a mediocre heel at best. What was the rating that I gave him a couple of months ago? See, I try my best to be consistent. I believe I said at most when he was in Impact Wrestling as a heel, he was maybe a modest C minus, maybe just a solid C, right? I might even said a C plus, but I'm just gonna say C minus, maybe a C at most of a heel. Okay. Could they have maybe done WWE? Could they maybe have done a little bit more with him as a heel? Yeah, maybe, but you know what he's kind of reminding me of? And I can't believe I'm going to say this because I love the hell out of this dude. He reminds me a lot like Lance Cade. Anybody remember Lance Cade? Lance Cade with Cade and Murdoch. They were such a great tag team, but it was really Murdoch that was carrying the hell out of that team. But home in on Lance Cade for a minute. Lance Cade had a phenomenal look, great physique, nice smile, pretty good in the ring. He was decent, right? No Kurt Angle or anything like that, but he was decent. But the one thing that was buzzkill for Lance Cade, charisma. He lacked charisma. Man, you talk about a stiff board. That guy had nothing. Bobby Lashley, personality wise, reminds me a lot like Lance Cade. Oh, Lance Cade as a good guy. Oh, Lance Cade as a heel. Right? Seriously, I'm looking at a guy like Bobby Lashley, and I'm still sticking to my guns here, man. I remember vividly when I was on this show, and I say, hey, I'm excited that Lashley is back in the WWE. And the reasons why I said I was excited for Lashley being back in the WWE was because, honestly, I felt that with the way things had ended prematurely, the whole what ifs, what could have been with his career had he stuck around. For me, it was nice to see that time healed all old wounds, right? So for me, I was very ecstatic from that standpoint to see him back in the company. And I had hoped that this go round things would be different. But so far, it's a tough pill to swallow. If you're a Bobby Lashley fan, it's really tough. It's really tough seeing this guy and going, what's missing here? What's missing? I'll tell you one of the things that's missing. I homed in on it earlier, and that is the limited range in emotions and characteristics that one Bobby Lashley is able to put on display. I put up a funny tweet the other night, and I basically had said, Lashley, get angry. Lashley, get mad. Lashley, what are you going to do now? Lashley, there's a couple of zeros missing in your check, and it's basically the same face over and over and over again. And I just need to see more. One of the things that they teach you in acting school is when you're rehearsing your lines and everything, and you have to call for a certain emotion. Usually you think about, like, what's the saddest thing that ever happened in your entire life? Or was there somebody that you recently lost? Or, you just recall a specific memory, right? Something that was so traumatic, or something you just didn't really like. And you can usually tap into that emotion and how you felt at that time when that situation had occurred. And you can give such a riveting performance that way, right? Like, act like your life depends on it, right? And with Lashley, it is just the same goddamn thing. How I miss one Dusty Rhodes. I'm sure if Dusty Rhodes was still alive, man, we can only wonder. We can only wonder. So other than that, anything else from, there was that great match there that happened with Mickie James taking on Nia Jax. My God, the drizzling promo that came from Nia Jax. I couldn't wait for her to stop talking. I really couldn't. But can I just say, look, man, look, I'm just amazed. I'm finally starting to come around here, and I'm just amazed that in 2018, as fine as Mickie James looks, right? Now, look, notice what I'm saying. I'm not talking about any certain aspects of her body. I'm just saying in general, as fantastic as she looks, for a woman that has a child that's probably now what, maybe 2-3 years of age, maybe even 4, she is in phenomenal shape. And I just don't get the crowd. I just cannot put my finger on it for the love of me. Why the crowd acts so indifferent to Mickie James. It's almost like they don't know who she is. They don't really care about her. And it's amazing because of all of what she was able to accomplish in the WWE. When you just really go back and you trace the steps of, hey, divas and all that, it's just so sad. She got a bigger reaction when she had took on Asuka at the NXT Takeover event in Canada. She got a better reaction out there than she has ever had since she has been on the main roster for both shows now. Because remember, she came on back to SmackDown first and then eventually came on over to Raw. So it's just really head scratcher. It's a head scratcher. I would love to know why the fans come off the way that they come off towards Mickie James, and what could possibly be done in their eyes to maybe take her up to that next level. But it just seems that every time there's Mickie James, the reaction is just indifferent, right? Speaking of indifferent, boy, I tell you, Sara Logan and Liv Morgan, man, were they naked without one Ruby Riot this week. I am telling you, man. Who was it that Liv Morgan had faced? If I'm not mistaken, Amber Moon. Man, the fans, definitely you could hear the reactions for Moon. But when it came to Liv Morgan, Sara Logan, almost hear a goddamn pin drop, to the point Liv Morgan was getting nothing from the crowd when it came to the offense. And I give her a lot of credit. She was doing her grunts, doing her screams, selling the moves, everything. It was a pretty good, fluid match. But every single time Liv was on the offense, the crowd just were not reacting. Every time Moon did something, the fans were behind it. They were letting their voices be heard for her. They were in support of her. And that's a telling tale for me as far as, okay, who's really the money makers here, right? And it just put a spotlight on, I think, what a lot of us have honestly felt about the Riot Squad, which is basically one of those girls in Ruby Riot definitely has a career. She has longevity in the WWE for the women's division. The other two, you honestly can do without. And I mean, let's really be honest. Liv Morgan made a name for herself on the independents. If we're gonna lay all the cards out on the deck, let's lay everything out on the table. Liv Morgan made a really good name for herself on the independents, or as I like to say, the free agency market. And when you look at that impressive body of work from the free agency market, ultimately, I would think, and a lot of people, nothing wrong to assume that, would feel that is ultimately what brought her to the dance in the WWE. Okay? We could be in agreement for that to a degree, right? Sara Logan, if you were to force me to pick on this day as it stands right now, Lee, two of the women from Ruby Riot, you have to pick two of them to go forward. One, you have to say, I'm sorry, it's just not working out. Ain't going to be no NXT, none of that. I'm sorry, it's just, it ends for you here. I'm going with Ruby Riot, and I'm taking Liv Morgan. Those are the two I'm going with, because I can still go back to the body of work that Liv had put out before she came to the WWE. I can still go look at that as a testament to how far along she has come. And there's still a little tiny part of me that feels that Liv Morgan is still moldable. She has all the tools that, as far as in the ring goes. It's just the personality that needs to come out more, that really needs to sell, right? And I think if it was a situation where if we were maybe teaching a class on trying to understand each other's gimmicks and personalities and all that, and you put the question out there, well, Liv, what's your gimmick? What's your shtick? What do you do? What are you doing to make the fans, come into you? And I like how I think it was maybe Corey Graves, and you had Jonathan Coachman say, and what? How does that help? To describe her character or whatever, and she basically said juvenile. And you're going, is that the best that you got? Like, seriously, that's the best that you have. And Liv Morgan, I still feel is moldable. She still is. If I had to pick two, but if I had to just go with one, I'm going with Ruby Riot all the way. And I'm just kind of at a point where, and you got to wonder this question yourselves as a fan, which is, especially when it comes to knowing what we know about how many people are signed on at the WWE Performance Center. Knowing that we have this upcoming NXT UK tour and all that, right? All the talents that WWE has signed up, you can't help but say, okay, you know what, man? We've got these other people that's waiting in the wings. Let's give these guys the opportunity. Let's bring these guys up because, man, it's just not working over here with, let's, when is enough? So, for me, I'm looking at the Riot Squad right now. And I've been saying it for the longest time, and I hope eventually this gets to Corey Graves and them. Dub her the Jessica Jones of the WWE. I mean, my God, you put up a goddamn profile pic side by side, and I tell you, they could pass off as freaking sisters, man. I see nothing but great things as far as a career goes for Ruby Riot. I see her, just the way it's going right now, she could definitely be a multi-time champion. I personally feel she really could. But let's just say, for the sake of the argument, you were to maybe revamp the Riot Squad. Let's just say, for the argument, something weird goes down, and let's just say a couple of months from now, WWE decides Sara, Logan, and Liv Morgan, they're done, right? If we were to bring about the Riot Squad again, who would be part of this stable? Honestly, I would not mind seeing Tamina be part of Riot Squad. I wouldn't even mind freaking seeing Alexa Bliss be part of Riot Squad. Because, see, let me tell you something. When I look at a girl like Liv Morgan, just the way she's acting and everything, it almost comes off like a watered down version, a very, very watered down version of Alexa Bliss. And I'm kind of like this. Well, if we're going to kind of have a wannabe, why not go with the real thing, right? Why not go with the real thing? So for me, just looking at who would make up a new Riot Squad, I think I might be onto something there. Like I said, you get Tamina Snuka, you can get Alexa Bliss, you can get Ruby Riot. Paige was something when she was part of that, wasn't she? She definitely was something when she was part of that. Honorable mention to her if she ever gets cleared again and she gets 100% healed and all of that. That would be pretty awesome. But there's somebody else I want to give an honorable mention to. I doubt it would happen, but Jessica Havoc would be another one I think would fit in quite well in that whole realm of Ruby Riot. I personally feel, but those are some pretty interesting personalities, basically, when you get right down to it. Those are some pretty interesting personalities. So we saw SmackDown tonight. I'm waiting on you guys to tell me, what was the main event? I know it was Team Hell No. who did they face and who did they win? Because I actually did not get to see that match because I was still doing some last minute preparations. I want to say they were taking on the Usos. Did anything weird happen to close out SmackDown? Did maybe Kane turn on Daniel Bryan? Curious minds want to know. So let's talk about that. Didn't really think too much of the James Ellsworth and the, what was it? The James Ellsworth Asuka match. That kind of played out exactly the way I thought it was going to play out. I like what he was doing on the independents better when it came to his intergender matches. Honestly, I thought that was pretty weak. So it was the Usos. It was the Usos. Okay. Jeff Hardy's open challenge was good for the United States title. He had faced The Miz. That was actually a pretty good matchup. I enjoyed that one. See, what else did we have on SmackDown tonight? Didn't AJ Styles get beat up by Rusev? What was the circumstances for that? Did they have a non-title matchup, or did Rusev do basically a cheap shot or whatever? We saw a cameo by Shinsuke Nakamura. He's still gunning after Jeff Hardy and that United States Championship, it looks like. A bit of a so-so episode. If I remembered it right. I mean, if I'm missing something majorly important from SmackDown, let me know. One thing that did catch my eye from SmackDown, and I actually watched the match twice. Go back and watch this when you guys get a chance. Becky Lynch taking on Peyton Royce. Now, look, Peyton Royce is very attractive on the eyes. Extremely attractive. Every time she's on my television, I stop what I'm doing. She almost has that Katarina vibe. Katarina from Lucha Underground. Now, there's somebody I actually would love to interview. I don't really want to talk to let me actually, well, no, I kind of teased it last week, so one could kind of string them together. I kind of don't really want to talk to Morty the Moth. I just don't think that would click well. I don't think we would really mesh that well together. But Katarina, I'm more familiar with her work in and outside of the ring. I think that would really be a fun back and forth, or anybody else from that matter on the Lucha Underground roster. But my God, Peyton Royce, easy on the eyes for sure, but drizzles in the ring. Don't believe me? Just go back and watch this match with Becky Lynch. One of the spots that just had me shake my head in disbelief was there was a spot where Becky Lynch Irish whips Peyton Royce into the turnbuckle. And rather than I'm sorry, I said Katarina. I'm sorry, it's Katrina. I apologize, Mark. Katrina. I got my women mixed up, man. I'm thinking two different women, quite honestly. Katrina, yes, Katrina. But some people can say Katarina. Some people say that too, but no, it's Katrina. My God, though, let me go back, bring it back up here. So there was a spot between the Peyton Royce, Becky Lynch, right, where Becky Lynch Irish whips Peyton Royce into the turnbuckle. And normally when you see this move going down, you see a situation occur where, okay, so you're just going to go flying into that son of a bitch. But when Becky sends off Peyton just basically goes, oh, wait a minute, wait. Okay, now I hit it. Go back and watch it. I bullshit you not. When she goes, wait. Okay, now turn and I just was shaking my head. I had to watch that again because I'm going to tell me I did not just see that. So that was just sloppy as hell. There was a lot of spots during Peyton Royce, Becky Lynch where it seemed very sloppy from the standpoint of Peyton Royce. Sloppy from the standpoint of it wasn't boom, 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 boom. It was, okay, this, now that, okay, now I do this. And that was just really nerve-wracking for me. It really was. Becky carried her load. She carried her load very well, I personally felt. She sold, definitely. She sold very well. Peyton sold good as well. I'll give her props as when she was on the defense, if you will, and she had to sell those moves that was coming from Becky. She did her part, but when it was time for her to connect on the offense, boy, that girl was the drizzles. And I tell you what, man, Billie Kay, the better wrestler. From just everything that I've been seeing since they've been on the SmackDown roster so far, I would have to say Billie Kay in the ring is the better wrestler. However, Peyton Royce kind of has a little bit more of the personality between the two. But, ooh, yeah, that was just, that was something else, man. That was really something else. All right, so other than that, let's continue on. Hey, you enjoying the show so far? If you are, thumbs up, share, retweet, repost, all that good stuff. And if you have not subscribed yet, do subscribe so you never miss out on all the great content we do for you here on a weekly basis. So right now, we've got, in case you guys missed it, I actually had reviewed the new 9 Inch Nails album, EP, whatever you want to call it, Bad Witch. I actually had reviewed that. That's exclusively available on the YouTube channel right now. And also for you Marvel Netflix fans, we've got the 2nd season of Luke Cage. The review for that, that's available on our Patreon page at patreon.com/RCWR show. Check that out, man. I'm telling you, $5 a month. You can't beat that. Told you guys a couple of weeks ago, there's a lot of you guys that were not even aware that there was a Patreon page. Maybe you're a newer listener. I don't know. But there is a Patreon page, and for just $5 a month, it all starts with that. You get access to a boatload of shows at your disposal. So you get 30 with Lee. That's pretty much tackling movies that's either getting ready to play in theaters, already out, some nice hidden gem of movies, throwbacks, even take movie suggestions to review. That's a great series. And then you've got Wrestling with the Topics, which, by the way, shout out to my man Andy Rocketeer. He did a phenomenal job with the show logo. You can actually see that on Facebook and on the YouTube communities tab page, right? Great, phenomenal job as always. Love you, friend. Appreciate your work as always. Greatly appreciate it. And you get access to that Wrestling with the Topic series with me and Tammy. We talk about topics outside of wrestling. So it's kind of a nice little play on words. We're actually going to be releasing I think we're going to release a free-for-all episode. I think that's going to be released on the downloads and all that. I don't know if I'm going to release it tomorrow, but before the week is out. She's already told me straight up, we can do it during the 4th of July. It's no problem, hunt. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to record the audio. And if, I don't know, I may put it up on Patreon. It just depends, because I don't really like putting stuff out on a major holiday unless I know for sure people are going to be going about checking it out. So I don't know. You'll have to just wait and see how I'm going to play that out. But yeah, it all just starts off at $5 a month. You can't freaking beat that. That's a really good deal. So take advantage. There's already like a total of, like, my God, it's already a total of, like, I think almost between the two series, like about 30, maybe about almost 30 episodes right now. And then you get bonus access to exclusive RCWR show audio, video content. Nowadays, when it comes to NXT takeover events, now that's just going strictly to Patreon. I had basically decided. So speaking of Patreon, want to take this time out and want to recognize our Patreon members for the month of June, is with their kind contributions that basically shows like what you're checking out right now remains free. So we definitely want to show them some love. Shout out to the beautiful and the lovely Courtney Summers, who has that new metal and wrestling podcast. Gotta check that out. Checked out a little snippet, I want to say the other day, if I'm not mistaken. I believe unless there's another one running around, I'm pretty sure I had checked out a snippet. Shout out to Courtney. Shout out to Michael Wolf, John Davis, my good friend Anthony Missionary Thomas of Wrestling Soup. Speedy recovery, friend. He is not feeling too good, a little bit under the weather. So shout out to you, buddy. Hope you get that rest. Don't need too much, man. Don't need too much. And shout out to Joe Raymond Jr. Shout out to all of these Patreon members. And we've got some departing sponsors that is going to be wrapping up in the next couple of weeks. Definitely some that are going to be wrapping up after tonight. So we definitely want to recognize them as well. I want to give a shout out to Dissecto Solutions. This is our last night working with Dissecto Solutions. Once again, appreciate them being a sponsor of the RCWR show for these past couple of months. Do come on back again, friends. You are always welcome. RCWR Nation for life. Dissecto Solutions offering the best dissection kits for students in grades 9 through 12, and for teachers as well. Non-rust stainless steel dissecting tools for your training and instructional purposes. Check them out on Amazon.com. Get a great deal. 26 piece. You can't beat that, man. Great deal. Again, appreciate you guys working with us. We also want to give a proper send-off to BeckettJewelry.com. Appreciate working with you guys these past couple of months. Beckett Jewelry, if you're in need of great jewelry gift ideas for him or her, check out Beckett Jewelry. They offer low prices at great quality, family-owned and operated in the United States. All products are shipped from the United States. Beckett Jewelry, love more, spend less. Head on over to BeckettJewelry.com. Also, we have the Midwest Ecom Conference that is happening in just a couple of weeks. It's going down July 20th through the 21st. If you're looking to become a successful eBay or Amazon seller, want to work on building a better income so you can provide for yourself and your family, work the hours you want to work, learn so much more at this 2-day event covering all things e-commerce. For registration, tickets, more info, head on over to MidwestEcom.com. That's MidwestEcom.com. Those of you continuing to struggle with your credit score, contact NoSweatedCredit.biz. They can help bring your credit up to par by eliminating 5, count it, 5 derogatory items that is on your credit report. I'm not talking about just one credit report. They look at all 3 of them major credit reports, and they wipe as many as up to 5 negative items on your credit report in as little as 5 business days. Check them out, NoSweatedCredit.biz. And did you know that .ws domains is on the rise? Yes, that is starting to become very, very popular. Get in on selling .ws domains from the comfort of your own home. Be your own boss, work your own hours. Hey, look, you teachers, I know there's a lot of you teachers, you're out for the summer, right? That's it for, classes until the fall. Maybe you are just looking for a side job in general. Think about selling .ws domains. Learn more, getrichalso.ws. That's getrichalso.ws. Also, Destination Vacations Travel Agency. If you need help planning your next vacation, don't have time to search for the best deals and locations, Destination Vacations Travel Agency, they can help. Give them a call right now at area code 630-491-6864. That's 630-491-6864, or visit them on the web, destinationvacationstravel.com. That's destinationvacationstravel.com. Appreciate all you guys. Help us out big time, man. Less than a month to go. Very pumped. Going to be going to Chicago and going to be seeing the one, the only CM Punk. I am looking forward to going back out there. That's going to be my first time home in so many years. I've already looked up my old neighborhood and everything. old stomping grounds, and my God, it is still like when I last had saw it. I am just, you have no idea how ecstatic I am, eagerly anticipating that. I don't know if I'm going to be going to the All In event because it's going to be going down that same weekend. I'm still not sure if I'm going to try to see if I can go to that event as a spectator. I know Cody Rhodes and them, they said that due to a whole bunch of legal loopholes, it would be kind of hard for them to stream the event, but they're trying to see if maybe they could work something out. So fingers crossed on that. It would be nice to go and see that event, but honestly, I'm just going to be freaking enjoying the freaking sightseeing and being able to do the meet and greet with Punk and getting a tour of the Pro Wrestling Tees store, see how they're doing all of those cool things. So I can't wait for that. Speaking of which, I'm doing something really freaking cool with regards to the show. And with regards to the show, I see now YouTube has made it possible for you to basically sell merchandise because they partnered up with, I want to say, Teesprings. So I know there's been a lot of you guys that have been either sending me a private email or you've been sending me a private message saying, "What's going on with more merchandise, Lee? What's going on with more merchandise?" So I am looking at more ways that we can bring more merchandise to you. So I want to say by next week, don't be too surprised, in particular if you're watching the stream on YouTube and you start seeing merchandise items for sale. So I'm going to be playing around. I'm going to be playing around with that and a couple of other new little trinkets here and there. I'm going to be tinkering around a little bit over the next couple of weeks. All right. And if you guys are just now joining us and you're kind of coming on at a time where you're kind of like, you missed all the good stuff. The best part about this, if you're checking out the show live, in particular on YouTube, you can actually, there's a cool rewind. So you can actually rewind to the very beginning, even though I'm live right now, and you can actually go back and you can get the gist of everything. Because I mean, we just talked about the Gazette shooting so far. We talked about LeBron going to the Lakers. We talked a little bit about wrestling so far. So keep at it with the thumbs up, but we still got a little bit more we can talk about as we get ready to wrap up the show. But I definitely want to try to wrap it up in just a little bit because I have to meet a deadline because we got to promote this one new guy. I'm not going to promote him yet. I'm going to go into some other headlines first, and then I'm going to go on ahead and promote this guy because he's been waiting patiently for me to promote him. And I was sick last week, believe it or not. I was actually sick about Thursday going into the weekend, and that was just the drizzles. Okay, so yeah, we got enough time. Let's go ahead, go into a little bit of rapid headlines here. So Laurel Van Ness and Robbie E, those names should sound very familiar to you guys if you are familiar with the Impact Wrestling company, TV show, whatever you want to call it at this point. But no, they had pretty much wrapped up with them. Now, see, one thing that's kind of interesting right now, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I could have sworn Laurel Van Ness showed up on last week's Impact Wrestling. Now, I know they taped these episodes basically months in advance. So what I'm not really sure about is if that was Laurel Van Ness that we saw last week, then how old was that? Because everybody was reporting last week how Robbie E and Laurel Van Ness, they had came on down and they did some tryouts at the WWE Performance Center. And in particular, what made people say, was Robbie E. Because Robbie E, if you guys, maybe you don't know, but on the independents, Robbie E, he's been pushing a kind of cool gimmick during his time in the House of Hardcore. It is a character that's a brand influencer, but with a serious twist. So he actually was trying that out for the guys at the WWE Performance Center, but all signs are indicating that everybody really enjoyed Robbie E's tryout at the Performance Center. Laurel Van Ness, as many of you probably know, she's dating Zack Ryder. So Zack Ryder's been with the company for about a decade now. So, you know, it's very well possible that both of these guys could be coming into the WWE maybe sooner rather than later. And honestly, I know as always, we're going to have people that's going to say, well, where do we put them? Do we put them on Raw? Or do we put them on SmackDown? Where are they going to go? Honestly, I think that with a guy like Robbie E, you could probably, I think you should have him be on NXT. Personally, I think NXT is the place to be. Let them do a little bit more tinkering. Let them do a little bit of fine improvements here and there. Laurel Van Ness, I don't think Laurel Van Ness will be going to NXT. I honestly would not be surprised if it was a situation where I'm trying to think which show Zack Ryder was drafted to, because basically whichever show Zack Ryder is drafted to, I wouldn't be surprised if Laura Van Ness basically was on that same show with Zack Ryder. That way they can stay together, they can continue to tour and all that. I mean, look at Rusev and Lana. I mean, they're basically on the same show together. They're involved in a lot of segments and all that. So, in later years, I've kind of become a sucker for breaking up couples. You know, it's like I really want couples to survive. And, you know, having a wrestling couple, okay, well, one person's here and the other person's there, that can be very cumbersome on a relationship. So the better the options are that's presented where a couple can stay together, I always say, hell, try to make it happen. Let them stay together. You know, I can understand it if you guys have only been together for 3 months, get the hell out of here. But you know, if it's a situation where okay, it's 6 months plus, this is really serious, we're actually living together and all that, and apparently Zack Ryder is on Raw. So I mean, whether it's Raw, SmackDown, regardless, whichever show he's on, just make sure that him and Laura Van Ness are together. That's the bottom line. It just sucks hearing about so many wrestling couples that, you know, they break up. I've had my share of friends that were either in the business or are currently in the business, and that's probably the number one. The number one, like, frustrating is trying to keep up with serious relationships, you know, especially when you think you met that one and you're trying to work things out with them, but the traveling and all that, getting the best, you know, you can leave, but it's going to cost you. That's my favorite Marvin Gaye song from one of my favorite underrated albums. Oh my God, look, do yourselves a favor. If you are a Marvin Gaye fan or you are a fan of Motown, I want you guys, if you haven't heard this album before, go check out Marvin Gaye's Here, My Dear. It was released in 1978. And this album, it had no business being put out because as far as Marvin Gaye was concerned, the album, like, it was not finished. He was still trying to fine tune, work on some stuff, but this album, he basically he owed it to the record label. He was supposed to put out another one. He didn't quite feel it was ready or whatever. And he was very pleased. He thought it was a really good masterpiece, but it really was not promoted heavy enough like previous albums. It didn't get the type of radio play he felt that it should have got. Reviews when the album had first came out extremely mixed, to the point that it wouldn't be until many years later, and I do mean many years later, long after he died, would the album finally get the recognition that it rightfully deserved when it had first came out. And basically, this whole album was him basically talking about his divorce to his wife, you know, basically the fallout to his first wife, Anna Gordy, gay, who is the daughter of record Mongol, music Mongol, Barry Gordy, right? So you can leave, but it's going to cost you. You pay attention to the lyrics of that song, and you are just going, ooh, that is fucking ice cold, ice cold. Hawkster making the headlines once again, and as soon as I had heard about this, that's the first song that had clicked in my mind. So that's how the Marvin Gaye and all this links up. So Hawkster's ex-wife, Linda Hogan, she's trying to take him to court once again. And sadly, she's claiming that there is a bunch of money that the Hawkster had distributed into various under the radar accounts, overshore accounts, other business endeavors that basically she feels, no, pay up, brother. You ain't gonna screw me from that. That's mine. And she's basically trying to claim money from like 2013 on. So just when you think that the Hulkster finally has this, whatever you want to call it, with the marriage, right? Somebody screwed up in the marriage. Honestly, I'm like this. When it comes to marriages, when it just comes to relationships in general, it is all about communication. I've always lived by a saying, which is communication is key to make any relationship thrive. And when you have a failure in communication, it just leads to problems. All right. So you've got the Hulkster once again. It looks like he's going to be tied up in some legal problems. Apparently, she's saying that he paid 40% of his earnings or be held in contempt of court. And once again, remember, they divorced in 2007 because of the whole affair allegations and all that. And her lawyer at that time was Raymond Rafool. That guy should sound very familiar to you because every time something goes down with the wrestlers and all that, he's usually not that far away. And I mean, when I hear this, one of the things that just really jump out at me, quite honestly, it's just, and you know what? I thank God, I'm not on wood, and I thank God that I did not put my late ex-wife through this type of bullshit that the poor Hulkster is going through right now with Linda. Because I remember when I had found out some stuff that my late ex-wife was doing. I could have made her life a living hell. I could have taken her to court. I remember she had like bought a house and shit while we were still together. I mean, she did like some crazy shit that like, are you serious? And I say, you know what? Nah, man. It's like she's getting what she's getting with her money. I'm going to get what I'm going to get with my money. You know, I don't want no property. I don't want her having nothing of mine. You know, what's yours is yours. What's mine is mine. It's done. Ain't no kid involved. We are done. And I remember, I'll never forget, we were better friends as a result of, okay, the marriage is over. Let's just really work on trying to be good friends here. Let's just really be cordial. And we were the best of friends. I remember I had to sign the divorce papers and all that. I remember she said, I got to thank you. You've really been a damn good sport about this because you could have rightfully taken me to court. You probably would have won. You could have gotten money from me. And I told her, I said, yeah, I said, that's true. I said, but I'm not jaded like that. I don't roll like that. It sucks that some people roll like this, but no, it's like, I'm not going that route. Fuck that. And so for me, that was probably one of the last good memories I had before she passed, was the fact that she said, hey, thanks for not making my life a living hell, taking me to court, But this shit with Linda, the way it just honestly comes off to me, 2 cents from a distance, it just really comes off like, girl, a fucking set. That's really what steps out to me the most. Okay, so what, you're running out of money? Your boy Toy isn't doing what he needs to do to financially provide. I mean, seriously. Well, he doesn't know how to get a job. Either one of you, do either one of you know how to get a job? What happened? The sales from your book, Linda, about the Hulkster, it wasn't quite bringing in the revenue that you expected. I mean, seriously, what's the 411 here? I mean, it just feels so tacky. And I know some people are going to be like, nah, Lee, if the Hulkster is doing some shady crap, it just gets to a point, though, when is enough enough? I mean, seriously, you won the verdict and all that many years ago. When is enough enough? You know, be an adult, move on with your life. It just feels so jaded. It just feels so almost like a mixture of jaded with jealousy and just, well, no, I gotta constantly have my thumb on and honestly, if freaking push comes to shove, if the Hawkster maybe needs to move to another, I don't know, another country to get away from all of this and pretty much operate that way, so be it. But I tell you what, if I'm the WWE and I'm trying to have things end on a more positive note with the Hulkster back in the company, if I'm Vince McMahon and crew, I'm basically kind of going, hey, look, we see Linda has made headlines and everything. Why don't you get with your lawyer team, do an assessment, try to figure out how much more money she's asking for. What is going to be just the official payout, and that it's over, you're done, and she can't keep hitting you up ever again. Maybe, you can have your team sign some type of document or whatever saying this is the flat out payout, this is it, and not a dollar more. Because remember, she was only supposed to receive X amount of money up to a certain point. Basically, if I'm not mistaken, up until if I remember it right, either when the divorce was finalized. Yeah, I want to say that, yeah. So pretty much while they were together, she is owed money for any business endeavors that he was involved in. She's basically supposed to get money up until that point. So it just really comes off like a cheap desperate. And I'm sure with him suing Gawker and all that and payday from that, and I'm sure she probably was looking at all of that and kind of going, I need to figure out how to stick it right to him. Both of them just really kind of come off like they're living in midlife crises, quite honestly. They both got young things going on, right? They got their arms around young things. And it's like, watch out now, because if y'all are in the same reception area, them two young things might actually get together, and who knows, So, one young girl, the girl that the Hulkster is with, kind of reminds you of Linda, and also kind of reminds you of Brooke. And then you go to the guy that Linda's dating, and that guy looks young enough to be her son. That's all I have to say. Meanwhile, I just got a brain fart live on the air. It happens. It happens, guys. Sorry. No, but getting back on point here. Mike Jackson, he recently had conducted an interview with Booker T, and he had talked about the infamous fight with CM Punk. Now, once again, he's a little bit of a walking contradiction here, because on the one hand, he's basically saying, hey, look, this is why I spared CM Punk. But then on the other hand, he's going, oh, fans, they just don't understand. And, I read the transcript of this because I'm a sucker for the transcript as opposed to the audio. And just seeing now that Mark Jackson has had time to really marinate on his words, on his thought process while he was fighting CM Punk, maybe he could kind of brush off of some of the things that he put out there initially, right? Well, no, he doubled down. So he is still saying, as early as Booker T's podcast, he is saying, look, I didn't go all in on CM Punk because honestly, I didn't want to go outright and embarrass the man. the man has a family, he has a wife, and I just didn't want to do him like that. And I get Dana White saying what he was saying and everything, and but I just didn't want to do that to him. And for those that are saying I was showboating, okay, you know what? I'll give you that part about showboating. You want to try to say, oh, the camera angles or whatever. Okay. So you winding your fists up and it's kind of looking as though you're playing with your opponent. Okay, I'll put that to the side for the sake of the argument. I'll put that to the side. But my man, you telling me, oh, well, I basically felt pity for him because he has a wife and he has a family. Well, the same thing I said when this fight went down weeks back, I'm still saying on this very night, which is, if this young man, Mike Jackson, is going to be successful as a fighter, assuming this is a path that he wants to continue to embark on, and he is still very young in his career, one of the things that he's going to need to understand real quick is when you get into that ring, when you go in that octagon, right? Your family, your friends, your children, all of that goes out the door. You and everybody else that decide to put on the gloves and go into that type of combat sport know the risk that you are taking. It's what you signed up for. It's what you had put your John Hancock down on. You knew exactly what you were getting yourself into. Do accidents happen? Yes. Can they be avoided? Yes. That's why, in particular, with regards to boxing and MMA, when they say, hey, no biting, don't hit the back of your opponent's head, things of that nature, they try to do their very best to protect it so it can pretty much just be a straight up professional fight. But accidents can and will happen. But the minute that you go into a fight basically saying, I need to hold back a little bit because I need to make sure that this person at the end of the fight goes back to their wife, their kids, their family. No, my friend, a lot of these opponents you're going to be finding early on, they want the W. They are all about the W and nothing else. And they will do what they need to do within legal limits of the fights by any means necessary to make it so. If they knock you the fuck out, they knock you the fuck out. Simple as that. I would like for this young man, Mike Jackson, to ask Mike Tyson if Mike Tyson ever held back on his opponents because he wanted to make sure that they were able to walk on their own accord back to their family, their kids, and all that. Or how about Muhammad Ali? Or how about George Foreman, Riddick Bowe? I would love it if he would talk to these guys and ask them. Go talk to Ken Shamrock. Go talk to Frank Shamrock. Go talk to Brock Lesnar. And I bet you all of these guys would be like, no. Once you step in there, whatever you're thinking, that's it. It's all about the fight. You go in, you got to go all balls out. You got to be about that W. You got to do whatever it takes. And if that means that you are in a position where you got to knock somebody out or somebody's going to look a little bit embarrassed because they ain't got no business being in the ring with you. Now, look, I'm like this, man. If you were that, I didn't really I wanted him to, okay, if you were really that concerned about embarrassing the man, then why did you sign up for the fight in the first place? You signed up for the fight because you knew that this would give you name recognition, of which it has. It would give you media opportunities, of which it has. You would have your 15 minutes of fame. So let's not make it be as clear cut as far as, I just really know you had a lot to benefit, a lot to gain from this. So, I just wish that this young man would just, I sincerely believe he's telling the truth, but he is naive. And there's a big difference between stupid and naive. When you're naive, you're just innocent. You don't know better. Okay. You don't know. But if he's going to continue to embark on this, he's going to learn real quick. Trust me on that. He's going to learn real quick. And some other things that had caught my eye while we were away. Congrats to the lovely Stacy Keibler. She welcomed her second child in this world. And, her and her new man, her husband, they seem to be a very nice couple. It's quite sad that Stacy and George Clooney were not able to work things out. And it's really sad because they had together, they just looked like an awesome couple. They really did. They looked like a great power couple. And Stacy, from all the reports I remember over the years when she was with George Clooney, she wanted a serious commitment. She wanted to take that relationship to that next level. She wanted marriage. She wanted kids. And for whatever respected reason, George Clooney, he would not bite. He just would not bite. So I'm really happy that a few months after she left George Clooney, she bumps into the man that is now her husband, and things are continuing to go very well for them. I'm glad that they continue to be blessed, honestly. And I was playing around with a New Japan Pro Wrestling video game. There is a new video game. It's out, but it's not out. So they decided to release the name of the game is King of Sports New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, they abbreviate that. They basically say KOS NJPW. All right. And they had released a beta version of this game in the App Store for Android and iOS. And you only had but a couple of days to download it, test it out, provide feedback, let your thoughts be heard about what you dislike about the game. And again, this was up until July 1st. Now, if the beta is still up, I don't know nothing about that. I'll know as soon as the show is over. But I must say my first impressions, and I actually recorded video footage of me playing it and all that. So during the break, I'll actually put it up on the YouTube channel. But my first impressions, I could really feel that the game is heavily influenced from the infamous Fire Pro Wrestling franchise. And it also had a little bit of WWF No Mercy. Those were the two that really jumped out to me. And I love how basically the game opens up. You start off basically creating your pro wrestler, figuring out what type of move set they're going to have. Are they going to be a technician? Are they going to be a submission expert? Are they going to be a brawler, powerhouse, all of that, lucha, all that. And the way that you go about learning new moves is really cool because you either fight in matches and you win basically coins to eventually level up moves, or you like go into this training dojo section and you have a trainer that you can pick or whatever. And I remember there was one move I was trying to learn. I think I was trying to learn how to level up my chops more. And my trainer was saying to me, okay, so you want to power up this move? Okay, cool. You got to give me 4,000 squats. And there's a nice little cool mini game. They give you like 10 seconds. And then you got to just mash the hell out of the button. And, you don't care how fast you are. You're not going to be able to get the 4,000, right? But over time, your moves. I thought I heard a weird noise there. Forgive me. Over time, your moves level up. So the graphics kind of reminded me of, I want to say WWF No Mercy, but a little bit more on the three-dimensional standpoint, almost kind of like, I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with the video game franchise Shenmue. I'm actually going to be talking about them because they made headlines as well. Shenmue was a popular game, part 1 and 2. It was a popular series that came out originally for the Sega Dreamcast back in the day, and it has been like a cult classic. There's been many of us, myself on the very top of that list, that have been trying to see part 3 for the longest, and it's taken like 20 something years just to finally see the light of day of part 3 finally being released. But the graphics almost kind of reminds you of that. Kind of made me think about the first Dead to Rights. I'm not saying that to try to get you guys overhyped, but when you see the graphics and you think about all of those things combined that I just mentioned, you'll get it. But really more on the Fire Pro Wrestling, like the vintage days of Fire Pro Wrestling is what you get. The game mechanics and all that, it plays pretty well. If there was one complaint I maybe had about the game so far, in a nutshell, I didn't like it when you were grappling your opponents and you were trying to apply submission moves. Like if you're the one applying the submission moves, you're good, right? But when the CPU or the real-time opponent is applying the submission move on you, they tell you, okay, do this, and you'll break out of the hold. You don't break out of the hold, you give up. And they got to rework on those mechanics. So right now, the game mechanics, I'm seeing the game has a lot of potential, basically in a nutshell. But like I said, I'm going to be editing the video gameplay of me playing the game, and I'll be offering some more commentating. I actually went over the roster and all that, so I'll share that with you guys. If I can work on that tomorrow and upload that, I'll actually upload that. But if not, for sure, no later than the weekend, I'll have that out there. But it's off to a really good start, I personally feel. So I can't wait for the full game to actually come out, and hopefully with all the feedback that they've been getting from us gamers so far, they'll get it spot on. I was just talking about Shenmue earlier. So yeah, like I said, Shenmue 1 and 2, they came out on the Dreamcast, a really popular game franchise, and a lot of us were dying for part 3. We couldn't wait to play part 3, and we've been waiting 20 years for part 3 to come out. And now the way things are looking now, sadly, Shenmue 3 was supposed to come out this Christmas holiday season, but instead it's been pushed back because the development team, they want to put some final tweaks into the game, really make sure that it's on point. So the way things are looking now, the game is not going to be released until maybe spring of 2019. But as a positive sign that things are now going officially in the right direction, and that part 3 will see its eventual release. As remember, this all basically started with the creators basically saying, you know what, we want Shenmue 3 to come out, but Sony PlayStation, they're basically saying, yeah, it's a cult classic, but with the 2 installments, you guys made lesser money. So the first one, okay, it was a surprise hit, but you didn't bring in enough money. The second release brought in even less money. If you guys want to see part 3 come out, you guys are going to have to do like some type of a crowdfunding thing, and you're going to have to get it paid for that way. But if you're able to raise the money, we want to distribute the game. We want exclusive rights. And so that's eventually what happened. So there's now a Shenmue 3, but it's going to be a Sony exclusive. Meanwhile, Shenmue 1 and 2 are getting re-released on PC and next-gen consoles. Now, PC gets first strike on August 1st. Meanwhile, the next-gen consoles will receive part 1 and 2 on August 21st. I want to say, to the point, if you actually go in the Xbox Microsoft store right now, you'll actually see it. Last I heard, it's not available yet in the PlayStation store, but you get 1 and 2 for just $30, remastered, updated the graphics. So, I mean, you can't beat that. That's actually pretty damn good. So mark that down on your calendars, you PC and you next gen console gamers. And I have great concern for Fallout 76. Now, video game designer, I believe his name is Todd Howard of Bethesda Studios. He's been making his rounds doing interviews. And one of the things that I'm finding a little bit alarming, that I'm having a little bit of concern with right now, is what is going on with this like open world that supposedly you're going to be able to access. Now, when I say open world, I don't mean what we've become accustomed to in previous Fallout games. What I'm talking about in particular is now it looks as though basically the way Fallout 76 is going to be set up, it's going to kind of be like DC Universe, meaning you're going to be able to come across other people playing the game in real time. You'll be able to join up and maybe form an alliance, go hunting together, go killing together, all of that. You may be building your home and all that literally across from somebody else, although they say the odds of two people building something in the same area right next door to each other, on the same land, is kind of like slim to none unless you're interacting with each other, right? But I'm greatly concerned about this, especially given the fact that Todd had said that with regards to players concerned about spamming kills, right? You know how it is if you're playing your favorite game like Halo or whatever, and you're minding your own business, and somebody, just because they're trying to get an achievement, they're just trigger happy and they kill you. You could be at level 1 and you're killed by a big, bad, tough guy that's at level 300. How big and tough this guy is, level 300, and he's killing a level 1 player. And you've got Todd basically saying, well, one of the things that they're going to be looking into is they're going to, try to have there be like a level cap limit. Like, okay, you can't get killed unless you're at this level. But, I'm really, really concerned about some of these things that I'm hearing, because those of us that are familiar with the Grand Theft Auto franchise, we can all be in agreement. What's going on now with the Grand Theft Auto multiplayer joint, it's ridiculous. And the fact that you now basically have to pay to play, it's fucking insane. And a lot of people have said that just a lot of the aspects that Rockstar Games have incorporated in the multiverse for Grand Theft Auto, it's taken the fun and enjoyment, right? So, I'm really concerned about a lot of these things that I'm hearing, so much so I don't know. I may actually reach out to Todd Howard of Bethesda Studios and see if maybe he would grant us an interview. And, because I really did not see these questions really being addressed as far as the reservations and basically, point counterpoint. So I'm very, very curious to see what's going on with that. No, I still have not played Red Dead Redemption 2. I've seen the trailers for it. I don't know if it's out yet or if it's about to come out. I'm still on Red Dead Redemption 1. And Fire Pro Wrestling World, if it's going to be released on the Xbox, that's pretty much the only way I'm going to be checking it out, because I know PC had got some love, and Steam as well. It had got some love as well. Check this out. I saw this and it was hilarious as hell. You can't make this up. So there was an article with regards to WWE 2K19, and they basically had said that Brock Lesnar is going to be a playable character, but he's only going to be a playable character 4 times out of the year. So basically he would be available as a playable character for the 4 major pay-per-view events. And you hear that, and I can't tell you how many people were pissed off when they read this, but here was the problem. Had they actually read the website for the article in which they were reading this on, they would have discovered that they got rickrolled. This was basically a kayfabe article, but it was hilarious as hell. But it also brought up a very good point, which is, well, Madden kind of does this. I don't know if they still do it, because I haven't picked up a Madden game in years, but I remember a time where once certain talents were done in the NFL, your roster would be updated, right? So if Brett Favre that's it for Brett Favre. You best not do that new update, because then you would no longer be playing as Brett Favre. So that kind of made me chuckle a lot, but it also made me have a very serious question, which is what if 2K Sports were to do that? What if they were to make Brock Lesnar be only accessible during certain quarters? That would be very, very fucking hilarious. I think. I think it would, especially if they put like an astronomical amount out there for, oh, you wanna purchase Brock Lesnar? Well, here's what you got to do. You got to give us all of this coin, and then you got until this period to unlock Lesnar, and then afterwards, that's it. You'll have to wait 3 months until you get your next opportunity to try to unlock Brock Lesnar. I mean, that'd be a really good challenge. But when I read that article and I saw the site it was on, I laughed my ass off. But then to see all the people that were actually upset, and they were upset because they legitimately felt they weren't going to be able to play with Brock Lesnar anytime, any place, right? I loved it. I loved it. It was freaking hilarious. And heads up for you Marvel fans, Avengers Infinity War is going to be getting a lot of love as far as bonus content goes. Right now, it looks as though there's going to be about maybe 30 minutes of additional footage not seen in theaters that the Russo brothers are cleaning up, putting the final touches on as we speak. I'm actually pretty excited for that one. I can't wait. And sad news for AMC fans of the series Comic Book Men. AMC decided that they were going to cut the show off after 7 seasons. Show's been around since 2012. And remember, there was a period where AMC, they basically were like, let's just put anything on the air. Let's see if we can get some cheap stuff on here. Let's see what we can do. And they actually had reached out to Kevin Smith and said, hey, you want to do a show for us? And they said, look, do something with a budget of $10,000. Let's see what your show could be about, and we'll take it from there. And they had liked what they had saw, and the rest was history. And what's really sad is AMC is canning this show, and this show is like on a short list of like top shows that is still bringing in good, strong, solid numbers. So I find it just mind-boggling that AMC decided they wanted to. But you know what? What makes a lot of sense to me, probably because of what went down with The Walking Dead. Remember, they had dude. Oh, I can't think of his name right now, but he's basically going to be replacing Andrew Lincoln. I can't picture his name right now, sadly. Bow and Arrow Man. What was that, a 20 million deal that he signed on for? So, you know, you factor that in. You got Into the Badlands, you got Fear the Walking Dead, you got Better Call Saul. All these shows, they are very expensive to produce per episode. So I would imagine AMC basically say, you know what, we got to recoup on some of this money somehow. And now AMC did give the blessing to Kevin Smith that he's more than welcome to pitch the series to any other network to see if they could possibly pick it up. So it's possible that maybe Marvel or DC Comics, you know, maybe they could, you know, do a little something. You know, when I say Marvel, that would be interesting if Marvel were to work out a deal and you basically would have to download the Marvel app or go to the Marvel website, check out the show that way. DC Comics, they got their whole DC Universe app that's going to be coming where you can watch original shows, movies, things of that nature. Netflix, definitely an option. So Kevin Smith's already said he's going to try to see what he can do, but it's kind of sad that a show like that, you know, gets canned after it continues to bring in really good, strong numbers. And other than that, see anything else I want to get into? Not really. Well, you know, one other thing I want to get into real quick, and it's just actually a shout out. I'm about to put a spoiler out there, major spoiler. If you don't want to hear this spoiler right now, you can stop. This is your warning, because once I go there, that's it. All right. But I got to mention this because it went down in the DMV, because it happened out in Fairfax, Virginia, right? And Ring of Honor, they were out here. They did some TV tapings. I'm about to spoil it. You've been warned. I'm going there now. And it looks like there was a major title change, as we now have a new Ring of Honor world champion. and his name is Jay Lethal. For the second time in his career, Jay Lethal is the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion. So congrats to my man, Jay Lethal, a phenomenal guy. Honestly, I thought it was kind of weird that he lost the title the first go round. I was expecting him to hold on to it much longer, but I'm glad that he's getting the run as the champion once again. So that's pretty awesome. And we're about to sign off because we're getting the countdown. I see from Mixer. So for those of you that's listening on Mixer, if we get cut off, give me about 30 minutes. You guys will definitely get the show in a hot second. But yeah, so other than that, that's going to do it. So at this point, your next edition of the RCWR show, I'm going to be coming at you guys on Tuesday, July the 10th. Sign up on Patreon for the bonus audio content, patreon.com/RCWR show. Thumbs up, like, retweet, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. Shout out to those of you that checked out the show live, interacted in the chat room. Hope you guys, everybody, and especially those of you listening on demand and on the downloads, I hope all of y'all have a fantastic and safe 4th of July holiday. Drink responsibly. Do not drink and drive. Until next go round, wishing all y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you next week. Everybody, do take care. Patreon members, you'll get your bonus content this week. So do stay tuned. Patreon.com/RCWR show. Good night. Good morning.